Alrighty, let's talk about Arbalest. This gun has gotten a massive buff in the form of anti-barrier being added to it intrinsically to the weapon, and the new catalyst giving the weapon Genesis, along with more handling and increasing the magazine size from 5 to 6, is Arbalest the best anti-barrier weapon compared to something like Ariana's or the new seasonal anti-barrier auto rifle mod? Yep, it's just purely the best. I mean, Ariana's is still good, even better with its catalyst, but comparing the two, Arbalest just does what Ariana's does, but just way better. The upside to Arbalest is that it takes down all champion shields in one shot. Doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's a Lost Sector or the GM. I mean, I would recommend people use Arbalest in the new Master Mode of Grass because it's just such a better option compared to everything else. But that being said, Arbalest only takes one shot to take down a barrier champion shield, compared to Ariana's 3 to 4 shots depending if all your shots fired are critical hits or not. Oh, and by the way, Arbalest's actual exotic perk, Compounding Force, just completely ignores all elemental shields and just breaks them anyways, even in endgame content like GMs where match game is presently and is on. Now, I'm leaving out the best part, which is Disruption Break. When breaking an enemy's shield, you make them take way more kinetic damage and they're way more vulnerable to it. Well, for Arbalest, breaking pretty much all shields all the time will proc Disruption Break. Oh, and it's kinetic, so not only is it getting the benefits from its own perk, Disruption Break, but you put on Particle Deconstruction on top of that, and this thing is pretty much an S-tier must-have weapon for all endgame champion-based related activities. Arbalest also allows for a bit more freedom within your loadout, as it's kinetic-based, allowing you to pair it with any elemental primary you want given the situation. And since it's a linear that can be paired with Particle Deconstruction, and it ignores elemental shields anyways, it gives you way more room to breathe and has pretty much become a jack-of-all-trades weapon when compared to Ariana's, where you're just locked into using it and it's solar and is only really good with dealing with anti-barrier champions. Not to mention that Arbalest's DPS is just higher than Ariana's, and with that extra shot in the magazine being added to the catalyst, the DPS will be a bit higher now. As well as particle deconstruction existing, there's pretty much no reason to be using Ariana's now as opposed to Arbalest just existing. I mean, the only reason you should be using Ariana's vow is if you don't have Arbalest, but that being said, Arbalest is still going to be the better pick out of the two. So what are the downsides of Arbalest? Honestly, there's barely anything I can say about the downsides. Personally, I just say the scope and the sightlines. I just don't personally like them, but that can be fixed with ornaments. I just don't have the ornament I want for it. And the only noticeable thing I'd say that is actually a downside with the weapon is just the flinch. Even in PvE, the flinch can be noticeable if you're getting pinged by a sniper from long distance. But if all you really have to complain about a weapon in PvE is flinch, and it's not even that bad, then you have a really strong weapon and you have nothing to really worry about at all. So what about the catalyst? Well, the Arbalest catalyst drops from core activities, so Crucible, Strikes, Gambit, all those kinds of things. I got mine in 2 Crucible games. Do you need the Arbalest catalyst for the weapon to be successful? To be honest, you don't. The weapon is pretty much successful anyways, but having an extra shot in the magazine, having Genesis on top of that, it will just refill your magazine when you break a shield and refill your reserves. It's just nuts. It's just a way better pick, and having the catalyst just makes the ease of use so much better. Ariana's catalyst, on the other hand, takes way longer to get, first of all, and it just adds more ammo and auto-loading, which is still good, but just not as good compared to Arbalest now. Point being, if you don't have Arbalest or its catalyst, you should go get it. It is now the anti-barrier king, in my opinion. I mean, I guess Lament exists, but that's a sword, and 9 times out of 10, if you're running a sword and the GM is your heavy weapon in most strikes, you're going to just be holding back your team in terms of boss DPS, and for dealing with champions, you're more than likely going to end up dead due to the sheer amount of damage the enemies and ads surrounding you will do to you even with passive guard on. For PvP users, is Arbalest still good? Yep, it's still good. It's just not as good as Lorenz Driver, so I would just suggest that you use Lorenz Driver instead, as it does pretty much everything Arbalest does, but it just does it better and has Zarya's ult from Overwatch built inside of it. That said, that is it for the Arbalest review. Is this a weapon you need to go out and get? Yes, go get it. Go get its catalyst, go get the gun. It is the best anti-barrier weapon in the game, at least in my opinion right now. Go and get it. I have been Super, Destiny Enthusiast, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.